All right. Some delay here in my part, but I think the stream has a nice quality. First of all, a good evening, at least for me. It's evening now. Like I told you, I decided to make a stream every Saturday if I can. It will have different themes, different subjects, different ideas. But on and on, it's just a quick chat, talking about several things and nothing really. Okay, now as the title says, uh, I'm doing this stream as a follow up to the other one I did about the G7. Okay, like I told in the posts, I'm going to try to make a stream at least once a week, Saturday around this hour between 9 and 10 o'clock in the evening, uh, because it's the best time for me. At least that's Saturday. Uh, like I said, I'm going to try to talk about everything and nothing. It's supposed to be a bit more lighthearted than the videos and some other stuff. But on and on, I will be talking about whatever I think it's, let's say, uh, adequate for the week in question. Now, like I said in the G7 stream, uh, the backlash to this Trumpification of the news is that what I saw in the news and in the media, it's definitely not good for the USA. Indirectly, it's not good for us here in Europe too, or for the allies of the USA, because we saw a weak man that should be the so-called leader of the free world, but that was in fact a very how would I say this? A very incompetent person. Okay, the man did not transmit any kind of image of strength, of confidence, of actually being engaged in what he was doing. He was there, but he was not there. This is the reason why I have heard commentators talk about his G7 meeting, and they are calling it the G6 plus one, because really he was just there for a while. He signed that deal with the UK. That is not a deal, it's just reinforcing the deal that they already have and a little more. He got mad at Macron. He talked a bit with some people that were there, and then off he went. Meanwhile, the other participants of the G7 meeting were engaging with each other, were talking with each other, were liming out the fine details in agreements. Canada, a brilliant host to the G7 meeting. Okay, Macron, an excellent work. That guy, like I said, there are some things I don't like about him, but I definitely like his way that he conducts himself, because he seems to be an honest person and he's constantly battling, even if sometimes he's wrong, but he continues to do it. So when Mr. Trump came out and said Macron was lying, of course I believed in Macron, because the man has no reasons to lie. And what Macron said, in fact, made Trump look a little better than what he was actually looking like. Okay, here I go. Some trouble with the stream again. In fact, made Trump look okay. But look, but things are like this. Okay, that's life and whatever. Now, why did I make this video again if I already had talking about it in the G7 meeting? Because I think now we can have a bit of perspective on what is really happening. And what we saw was basically the other members telling Trump to do his job. And at least that he has to do. He at least has the duty to himself and to the United States, even if he's burning up his economy. But he has a duty to at least keep things normal, to meet with other leaders, even if he's there to do absolutely nothing, which was the case, and whatever. But you know, how can you trust the man when when he when he says things like this one that I'm going to show you right now? Okay, this is available. I saw it in Reddit, but you can see it almost anywhere. President Trump. I got a call from Congress last night. Sir, there is a problem. I said, what is it? Money is pouring in. We don't know how to account for it. I said, check the tariffs. 88 billion came in from tariffs. 88 billion in tariffs? Congrats. You taxed the Americans and now you're bragging like China paid the bill. And this is the type of discourse that you would I don't know you would expect from a dictator or someone like that, some crazy guy down in South America screaming a lot like, at his underlings and little more. But in fact, this was the president of the United States of America. For better or for worse, the man is the president of the United States of America. And he should at least know how to control his mouth. Okay, how to control the things that he is saying, how to control the things that he is doing, how to control the way he is acting. And I don't see that at all. Uh, Hello, number three. How are you? Well, I'm sorry we are having a bit of issues here with the internet connection. I don't know why. I have a perfect signal here in my computer, and yet it's chewing up my words. But I will continue to try and go on with the stream. Well, but you cannot expect a president, okay, to say things like this scene that I just show you. Sorry, let me just. And then we have others. Let me see if I can find another. And then you have these sycophants that are very pleasant people, and that in a week, or at least in 2 weeks, I think, where two Minnesota Democrat representatives were murdered by a Trump supporter, you have things like this. This lady must be says. A former US president received Secret Service protection for about 6 months after leaving office, as authorized by the former Vice President's Protection Act of 2008. Kamala only has Secret Service protection until July 20, 2025. TikTok Kamala. Now, isn't this a nice thing to say? Mm, mm, I'm sorry. Just please give me a minute. I'm just killing some windows here. But the fact is that I do have a perfect connection here. Let me just see what's wrong. Mm, I don't know why sometimes this does this, but I do have an excellent connection here. Mm, just trying to open the widgets now. No. Oh my god. Okay. I'm going to just I will just try to continue with the stream. I I either have to find some other provider to make my stream, some other software, or I will try some other solution. Now I think now it's good. Okay, just pause for a minute. No, like I was saying, you have people like this lady that even after all of this time, even after all of these confusions, people on the right still continue with this speech of mocking people, of threatening people, and like I don't think Americans really understand what democracy and free speech entail. Okay, free speech. What is it? For example, it's me. I'm here. I'm talking with you. I am not offending absolutely anyone. I am very clear at my positions. Well, like I told you, I am not monetized. If I was monetized, I would have to say different things in the sense that I would have to warn you that I am monetized so you would know it. And and I would have to just say it, okay? But I don't because I really don't. I am not monetized. Let me just come back here. Stream settings. All is good. Okay. I am just no. I'm just talking with you. I'm just showing up my ideas, the way that I see things, and just sharing. It's basically like I usually say in my videos or streams. It's like a guy sitting in front of you in the coffee shop and just having a chat. Okay. Now let's continue because I think now the stream has stabilized. I really don't know why it's making this delay. I'm having delay here on my end too. Okay, let's continue. Now, the reason I made this stream is to give you a bit of the pulse of what is how people are feeling about this in Europe. And around here, like I told you, people are looking at the USA and they are already thinking how life is without them. Meaning, sorry, number vertical. I don't know why. Uh, that's that's something up for YouTube to answer. Let me just again. I'm having issues with my connection. Let me just. I am trying to. Well, I'm currently using OBI, but I might be changing to some other software because if there is nothing wrong with my connection, I have an excellent connection. And if there is nothing wrong with YouTube, then the issue must be here with the software I am using. Right. Now, again, let's continue. Now, as I was saying, uh, the general feeling here in Europe is of weakened, sorry, USA that cannot be, cannot no longer be, you know, considered as a leader of the free world. No, it cannot. And the other countries and even the world is looking out, is looking out elsewhere for leadership. And what is happening is that instead of, due to the nature of the countries that now compose this so-called free world, for example, you have Japan, you have Korea, you have Europe, including the United Kingdom, you have Canada, and you have and will have other countries joining in the group. I am certain of that. Okay, and let me just yes, just answering this. Okay, now, uh, but uh, sorry, I got a bit out of focus here. But this is a different type of leadership. You do not have a monolith like the United States of America, simply taking in all the decisions and then the rest pretty much dragging around. Okay, you have an actual division of positions and the need to find a consensus. Okay, this will make the group a bit slower in taking decisions. But on the other hand, when the decision is taken, that will be a definite decision and with the cooperation of everyone. And that is good for all of us, okay? It's good for the smaller countries in Europe, for example, that are a part of the EU, but that are small countries. It's good for countries, for example, like Japan and Korea, that are a bit on a danger zone where they have to balance their relationship with China and their relationship with the United States and with Europe. Okay, and it's good for the world itself because if you have, for example, a decision taken by the so-called West now, it will be a decision where everyone is cooperating. It will not be an autocratic decision by the United States of America. And what is happening right now in Iran is extremely dangerous because that madman is sent the so-called death adder of his warships carriers into the East Mediterranean. He moved a lot of bombers with cluster bombs into Crete, and he's doing a lot of stuff that I frankly do not like. I don't know if he is doing it as a pressure valve to to force or coerce Iran to do whatever he wants them to do, and I don't think that will work. Or he is actually considering and preparing himself for war. Whatever that madman is going to do, it's not good for either of us. Okay? He should do what, off the record, I am sure other countries told him, and that is to simply control his country, control the USA, control his military, and also control. Just a minute, please. Having a bit of delay here, and control Israel. And look, Israel, right now, how it is now, it would not be anything. It would be nothing without. What is wrong here? Oh God, I'm sorry. Let me see. Okay. No. Last time the stream worked perfectly, and now it's chewing up my words. I don't know why. Let me just try to do something. I don't know if this. Okay. Now I think I'm. The stream is rolling again. Just a minute. Okay. Now let's continue to talk about this. Uh, just a sip of water. I'm sorry for this, but the issue here is that it's the software that I'm using that is causing this problem. I'm certain. So I next stream I will use some other kind of off-stream software because this is not working. It's having some delay. It's not justifiable. I have a decent PC. Okay, I'm streaming in my PC. I have a lot of network, really good connection, excellent Wi-Fi connection, excellent, and it's giving out these issues. So the issue must be here. I'm using OBI, pretty cool. Okay, now let's continue. Uh, what is worrying me right now? It's not as much that weakness of the USA that we are seeing. It's worrying, but it's not devastating. Okay, number one, because the USA still has a large military, and whatever you think about them, they do have a vast military, and they also have troops that are not prepared to march like dictator Trump wants, but troops that are prepared to intervene when needed. Okay, so what am I trying to say? This I'm trying to say that the USA still has an effective military that if they are called upon, they will act and they will be effective, whatever. But if he tries to invade Iran, and I think he got that message loud and clear from Europe, he will be doing it alone. He will be sinking the country into a mud pit he won't be able to get himself out. Like I, like I said in a video that I think I don't know if it's already out, but I talked a bit about it. Uh, Invading Iran is, in a sense, the same as invading, for example, a modern country in Europe. With all its differences, okay, with all its differences, with all its particular conditions, but it's the same as invading a European country. Okay, you are not invading people that are living in mud huts and screaming Allah Akbar in the streets. Okay, some of them are radicals. Yes, of course they are, but they are civilized radicals. What do I mean with this? It means these are people that know how to act. They know how to use weapons. They know how to use tactics. They know how to make your life a living hell. It would be the same if you try to invade a European country. First, you would be able to come in, and then you would be teared apart. I'm saying this without any look. This has happened before, and if it happened today, it would happen exactly the same thing. This is why Europe is an extremely difficult place to wage war. Because an American, you cut off the supplies, cut off the water, whatever, and even with all those guns, they will start shooting and killing themselves. Europeans would unite, let's call it like this, and start attacking you. This is the simple truth, okay? And I'm not just talking about native Europeans. I'm also talking about the immigrants because when they come here, they start acting like us. Why? Because we are not dumb Americans. Okay? I'm not saying we are superior. I'm just saying we are different. But if this idiot invades Iran, first of all, it's a logistical nightmare. The country has everything. The country has desertic plains. The country has forests. The country has swamps. It has highlands. It has 20 different climates all over the country. It's a massive country and it has a massive population. I think it has as much population as Germany in a space that is more or less uh, two or three times, double or three times the size of Germany. Can you imagine this? How are you going to feed an army, supply an army with a dying economy? Because is their economy is fucked. Pardon my English. Okay, the farming business is fucked. The manufacture is almost inexistent. This is not the same USA that produced weapons in mass to come into Europe and fight the Nazis with the other allies. This is not the same USA. This is a USA where most of the manufacture and the industrial hard work is performed by foreigners. The same immigrants they are hunting now is performed by those people, and it's also performed in an assemble way, meaning they source the components that they need for their weapons and for the military industrial complex elsewhere. Even the bloody aluminium comes from Canada. Okay, weapons parts come, for example, from a Heckler and Koch from Europe. Okay, even Portugal supplies grenades to their army, for God's sakes. Or at least, why isn't this more known by the Americans? Because when they, for example, they like their weapons, and when they go and buy their nice shotgun or their nice machine gun or whatever in the weapons shop, they will see there made in USA. But that doesn't mean anything. All right? There are things here made in Portugal, but we know that components come from elsewhere. For example, some machine tools. We build them, but we source components, for example, from Germany. We also still build cars here. They are built here. They have a seal that says built made in Portugal, but they basically source some of the parts of the car here, and the other comes from Germany or from Spain. Yes, that's and that it's interesting that you talk about that, Fatiku, because if it's true, they still use Fahrenheit in their inches and whatever. When it comes to precision weapons, and when it comes to aeronautics, when it comes to NASA and all of that, guess what they use? They use the metric system. And why? Because the metric system is the most logical one. Okay, because these are one of those things that you see many times Americans talking about in forums and in videos. Well, what the hell is a meter? I don't know what is a meter. Okay, but the truth is, it's us that have a reason to not understand what the hell they are talking about. Because even the Brits understand what a meter is. They are just stubborn and they want to use their imperial system. But they understand that. Okay? And when they are producing things, do you think anyone is thinking about inches and foot or feet or whatever? That primitive thing. They don't. But this is one of the issues I have with the United States. And all of this shit, that has been growing over the years has now accumulated with Trump. You cannot look at Mr. Trump and his ideology and his MAGA and all of this. You cannot look at them and think, oh, these evil people have appeared. No, these people were there. These people were growing, and these people were being allowed, just like the other idiots in the extreme. Because I will not start with those people that have an interesting idea and start canceling everyone just because someone does not use the same words they do, and then trying to impose them to us. We have nothing to do with that culture wars. I will tell you something here. One of the greatest decisions my country has taken is to transgender, gay, anything that is not, I don't call it normal because calling it normal would imply that it's abnormal, but I'm talking about in medical sense. Okay, in medical sense you have normal and abnormal, or different. Okay, and it has no negative connotation. I want to be clear about this. But here we decided, the politicians decided, the, the doctors decide this. If a person here, for example, and any American that might be looking in and listening to me, if a person here feels like they need to change their sex, their gender, they go to a doctor in the NHS. They make an appointment. Sometimes it takes a little while because we are having issues with structuring our medical services, but they work. Let me be clear about it. And then on, it's through the doctors that this entire process continues. That person does not have to ask for permission from any bloody politician. He doesn't have to do anything. He just has to follow the process. And then, if it is determined that that person is effectively a transgender, they go through the operations and it's all paid under our NHS. And you ask me, and you are paying taxes for that? My friend, I am paying taxes. It's up for my government to decide where those taxes are applied. And that is the only thing I expect from my government. And if someone doesn't have enough money to transition, and that will make him a better person, a happier person, who the hell am I to tell him he cannot? That would be the same, in my perspective, as me, for example, needing an operation or needing medical care like I need it. I have spoken about this often. I spent my early uh, childhood, let's call it like this, I spent it in hospitals at least half of the year, getting probed, getting pricked for a health problem. Hello, Ginger Giraffes. Thank you for coming. So, when I was sick, and when I am sick, I needed them to help me. So, why won't you just stop with the religious bias, with the political bias, and let people that know what the hell they are talking about, in this case, medical staff, uh, let them solve this transgender thing? You want to know what they do when there's a question, for example, in a sports event or whatever. If that person, because that person is transgender, can that person compete? And this happens mainly when it's a man that has turned into a woman and hence has more muscular mass than a woman and acquired advantages over over the other women. Medical staff, they decide if that person can compete in the female competitions or not. It's them that decides. The politicians don't have a bloody word on it because under our constitution, this all goes down to our fundamental rights. Article here, the constitution of Finland is similar to ours too in that aspect. There is a difference. Fundamental rights. This means I, as a citizen of this country, have fundamental rights. and no one can uh, interfere in this relationship between me and my country. And here lies the issue with the Americans, because the Americans believe that their free speech is an absolute free speech. I will answer particular. If give me a minute. They believe Americans, and Gigi Giraffes is here. She is from there. She will understand what I'm trying to say. Americans believe they have an absolute speech. They can say whatever they want, even if that offends another person. And then in the other spectrum, you have the other people that get offended for every single person says. If you call a transgender person by mistake or because you don't know and you call him, it's a man that is transitioning, you call him a man, there is an uproar. Oh, he's transphobic, he's this, he's that. And you have the right, oh, he's right, that's a man, and this and that. When actually, the only thing that should happen here is the transgender person that might have felt offended would speak directly to that person and say, look, I'm sorry. Can you please call me a lady? Use the female to treat me because I'm transitioning and it offends me. And the other person would just say, oh, this offends you? Sorry. Okay, I will treat you with female pronouns. This is all that is bloody needed. A bit of common sense and a bit of respect. And do things like we are doing here. For example, even a bloody small country like ours now, both for economical reasons, and for social reasons, we are changing, for example, public bathrooms to become unisex bathrooms. Meaning, you enter if you enter in a so-called normal bathroom now, okay, there are closed stalls, and there is, for example, in the men's, you have those small urinals so you can pee. What they are doing now is changing all of that into stalls, closed stalls. You go into the bathroom, you do your business, and we don't care if you are a man, if you are a woman, if you are an alien, whatever the fuck you are. Okay? Because this is another saying that I also in Ginger Giraffe's here, she's saying that only MAGA has free speech, and she's absolutely right. Only they can say whatever the fuck they want. Okay? And this is a way of solving problems. In schools, they also solve these problems. In schools, kids are kids. Okay? To the state, you are biologically a male, but you can also be transitioning. When a person finished, and there were maybe because there was some, I don't know, some mediatic events here where people like a kid that is now my age, that he transitioned when he was very young for to female. Maybe because there were these cases and people followed what happened. Maybe because of that, we are pretty open about that and we don't care. The issue here is not caring. What do I mean with this? Meaning, I will not mingle, I will not interfere with your life as long as you do not interfere with mine. Okay? And it doesn't, we don't care about your religion, your imaginary friends, whatever the fuck you want to believe. I have my beliefs too, and I am not uh, pushing them into other people. But in the USA, like Ginger here said about the MAGA people, I have a free speech. Now imagine this. I'm half German, and I'm going to tell you this. The exhibition of the swastika, to me, only brings me back bad memories. It brings me back memories of winter nights, sitting with my grandfather, playing cards, speaking in German, and him talking about what his cousins had told him about what had happened in Germany. It brings me back memories of him telling that the town or village or place, it was a small place, it doesn't matter. The place where he was lived, where my family had lived entire generations, where his mother had been born. She was born in that village and she was baptized in Königsberg, today Kaliningrad. Okay, first of all came the Nazis, kill off the Jews, kill off the Poles or expel them. Even some Baltics also got kicked out. Okay, then came the Soviets. Okay, luckily my family, the men were fighting, and to my knowledge, none of them were part of that squad. One was, for example, the two that I know, one was a special shooter, a sniper, and the other one was in the Panzer Division. He was the head of a division of Panzer, which was basically six tanks, whatever. Okay, that was his job. He was a bit an older gentleman, but the family retreated before the before Ivan came, and they went to the south. But the town where my family had been born, my great grandmother was born there. That town was looted, it was burned, it was the bulldozer, and they saw a forest over it. So that memory is gone. And this is exactly why I also have a thing to say about the shit Israel is doing in Gaza. Because I know the feeling. You know what the feeling you have? I have had this idea for many years to do two things: to bring back the German surnames my grandfather was forced to turn into Portuguese for political reasons. Because if you're saying having an authoritarian regime here was any different than having an authoritarian regime elsewhere, we all had to be Portuguese, well behaved, and Catholic. Okay? And to return to the place I know more or less where that village was, and to at least tell them that a part of their lineage escaped. And now I keep I keep seeing these things, and I keep reminding myself of something that my grandfather was always saying: "Vertrouw Ivan niemals." Never trust Ivan. And then I see American kids that true fascists, I'm going to be honest with you, true fascists around here would consider Untermensch, subhumans. I see those people waving swastikas and marching up and down like some kind of Walmart Nazis. I cannot tell you what I feel. I feel two things. I feel anger and I feel disgust. This is what I feel. I call this free speech. Okay? In the There is my stream acting out again. Minute please. Sorry. Going to have to find some new software. Now, because how can you define free speech? Let me tell you how we define it here. Free speech, my free speech, ends where my neighbor's free speech begins, and vice versa. And both of us have to be respectful and mindful of the other. This means that I can tell jokes, I can do whatever I want, but I cannot impose my way of thinking on other people. I cannot do like the maggots do and scream bloody murder and say they are killing the dogs, they are killing the cats, they are doing this. No, because in conjunction with this, there it goes again. In conjunction with this, there is also something that is called the law, and the law bans fake news, it bans misinformation, it bans all of that shit, and I am glad for it. So, whereas, for example, here in Europe, I get the fact, and if I see one, two, three, four different news stations, I will see the facts as they happened, as they are, as they happened, and then the reporter will give us his opinion because he also has that that free speech. Hmm? In the USA, you will have this situation. Let me just see. Just give me a minute, please. Okay, I think I'm okay. Now it's back to normal. Let me just get some water. As I was saying, if in the US, if here I can get the facts and also the perspective of the reporter, because they also have the entitled to give their perspective to say why they think this is happening. I get the facts all the time. In the USA, you don't get facts. Maybe Ginger, she's in the stream, so she also knows this. You get narratives. You get constructions. Okay, you get constructions. You get narratives. They don't give you the news as they are. Just for look, that part where the oh fuck. Okay, I'm. I think I'm back again. Okay, now just that part when you see that now comical situation, that when you see that comical situation when Trump is sitting down and looking at the little tank pass and the squeaky tank passes around here, we saw the video just like it was, meaning there was dead silence in the crowd. The tank, that is an old tank, an old Abraham's tank, so it's natural, was passing by and squeaking, and you had Trump up in the air with doing whatever the fuck he's trying to do. That is salute. And that was it. In Fox News, you guessed it, they inserted clapping. I shit you not. Ginger, she might have seen this. I saw this in Fox News, and and they were clapping. But there was no clapping. There was absolutely no news. No, there was absolutely no reaction from the crowd. Number one, because there were little to none. Number two, a lot of them were paid to be there. You know, Craigslist and announcements. And but this is just an example of what of what lately they have been doing. Okay, and the USA has this construction of a country that it might have existed for a couple of people. I am sure any white person or any hardworking immigrant was able to go into the USA to work and have a decent living. At least a decent living from, for example, there are a lot of Portuguese immigrants that went from here, from absolute poverty here, because they were working menial jobs, they had no future. Their life would be to, I don't know, maybe rent an apartment in the suburbs and die with their family surrounded with kids, okay? And they went into the USA. They built supermarkets. They built business. A lot of them went into law enforcement, went into fire departments. Okay, some of them died in the fall of the twin towers. One of them, at least two of them, were Portuguese ascendancy. And now a lot of those people, their grandsons, their great grandsons, they're coming back. Even Tom Hanks, that is of Portuguese ascendancy, even he has bought a house here, and he is eligible to ask for Portuguese nationality. Okay, he is, because he's a direct descent, and we have a true system nationality. You can get Portuguese nationality either by bloodlines or by acquiring it by living in the country for an X amount of years or marrying a Portuguese citizen. Okay, and and then you have situations like this, and you have these MAGA people talking about killing Kamala, talking about doing a lot of shit. That look, it's absolutely disgusting. The saying, sorry, I was just checking out something here. It's absolutely disgusting to hear these people and then having the audacity of saying we have free speech. You don't have free speech. Because if you have a free speech where you can say whatever the hell you want and offend everyone and act and talk like everyone had to accept you as you are, like some kid that I saw that identified with a horse, so he said he had the right to act like a horse. I shit you not, okay? And his parents looked on as his 17 years or 18-year-old son spent his days walking in the lawn and grazing in conflicts or whatever. You know, this is completely madness. It's like Mr. Rifley. Hello, how are you? It's like Mr. Rifley is saying right here, freedom of speech, but not freedom from consequence. And this is the exact thing that I'm trying to say. Here in Europe, you have freedom of speech, but you are not free from consequences. For example, I can say that I don't like my prime minister and I think he's incompetent. I can say this, but I cannot say he's a son of this and a son of that, or that he is being paid by this one or being paid by that one, because that would be very serious, extremely serious, I would say, because I would be speaking, number one, without proofs, and number one, with the natural consequences of my words. Okay, just like my neighbor, I cannot offend my neighbor. My neighbor cannot offend me either, but I cannot offend my neighbor too. And I cannot come here. This is why I always tell you to fact check me and to consider that I'm just expressing my opinions. Okay? These are my constitutional rights. If you go read the Portuguese constitution, which is the constitution I guide myself to because I have a Portuguese passport and Portuguese nationality, it says there that I am entitled to express myself, to speak, to communicate, to give my opinion. But it does not say there, in fact, it says absolutely the opposite. On the negative side, I do not have the right to impose my ideas to others and offend them. Because, going back to the example of the swastika, it's not the symbol that offends, it's the intent that is behind that symbol. Because if you go to a museum and you see it, or even a piece of art, it doesn't offend. But when we see, like I saw, young kids, they were masked, but they were young kids marching in the middle of an American town with bloody swastikas. This is this is this is ridiculous. Yes, yes, you are right, Mr. Rafferty. Here we have a system where I am a citizen of my republic and I have my individual rights and I have my collective duties towards the community. The government cannot do whatever he wants. Just to explain this, Mr. Rifley, I think he's an American. Let me just explain this. Our government is bound by the Constitution. Okay, every decision that is taken in my state, it has to be in a form that it does not offend the Constitution. We have a court, constitutional tribunal, that decides if a determined law is constitutional or not. And because this is a continental system, it's a system of the law, custom or habit is only it only serves to frame things. If if in the word of the law is something, that is an absolute. And we can only decide if that stops being an absolute with a referendum, with elections, and even so, only in certain conditions. For example, abortion was presented for us to decide via a referendum. But, for example, euthanasia, the Constitutional Tribunal considered the government did not need it to present that. Why? Because that would be something. Abortion was considered a medical procedure, to be clear. And just to explain this, I also have some formation, let's call it some training in law. Abortion was a medical procedure. It had to do first with the health of the woman as a citizen of the republic, and then to the extended family, meaning, for example, her spouse, society. You understand, okay? But euthanasia, that was a personal right of a person that has the right. It still has not been completely regulated, but it has been approved during this. Probably during the next few months, that will be regulated. But euthanasia is a right that I have as a citizen of my republic to ask my state to allow me to die painlessly. So it's my personal right. And it's defended in my constitution. Even the right to die is a constitutional right. In our constitution, there are other things. There is, like in the German constitution, an article that completely bans authoritarian regimes and fascist regimes. This has to do with the history of Portugal. Okay, one dictatorship from 1926 until 1974, and Germany for the obvious reasons. Okay, so you cannot even have an extreme right movement here. People, for example, now outside are saying that a party that became the second force no, sorry, the second force in the parliament, Schigge, which in English means enough, is a right wing, an extreme right wing fascist party. And I keep telling people to stop being idiots. If there is anything in the regulations or in the program of that party, something that was considered fascist per se, as we know it, that party wouldn't be able to even exist or to even present itself to power. They are, however, and that you can call them, a populist, conservative right-wing party. But that is a different thing. But now let's continue with this part of the. We also have a Supreme Court. Vatigu, just answering in Finland, the parliament is the Supreme Court. Here, we have a system in which you have the parliament and you have the president, and we elect them both. Okay? And my stream is giving up on me again. Let's see if it will return. Okay, I will try. As I was saying, here we have the parliament where the MPs, the deputies, are elected by PR, proportional representation, and then we have the government, that is the party that has more deputies and that can form a government that had the majority of the votes. They can have an absolute or a relative majority. Then you have the president, and then you have the courts. There is a division of power, and we have a constitutional court and a Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will decide ultimately questions related to any aspect of law. The Constitutional Court is there to surveil if the decisions taken by the government and by the president are according to the Constitution. So, usually, what happens is a law is approved in the parliament. That law then goes to the president for the president, if the law is in conditions to be, let's call it, proclaimed, whatever you want to call it, to do so, to put his seal of approval. If he considers there is any issue that might offend the Constitution, or if a third party asks for it, then it will go to the Constitutional Courthouse and independent judges will decide according to the law. And usually these are people with a long experience and that know exactly how to interpret the Constitution. Because, like I said, it's an absolute law. Okay, having some issues now. I'm sorry for this. I'm being having again. Okay. All right. Now I think we are back again. Okay. But and okay. Let me just explain this part. So we have a system in which everything is separated. It's not like in the USA, as the president would would have to not take decisions arbitrarily, but he does so anyway. Okay. Here it's actually in the text of the, law. Let me. I'm sorry for this. I really OBI is dead for me. Want to get some new software. Now, let me just conclude this part because I have been going on with this for an hour. I'm sorry for all these interruptions. I have an excellent Wi-Fi connection. Okay, I have a good computer. I don't know. This must be OBI. Going to have to find something else to stream. Okay, right. Let me continue. Now, as I was saying, we have a system in which we have more than one eye on the money trail and on the political side. This means that politicians here are forced to follow the law, and also that politicians here are forced to engage with each other, to speak with each other, and they cannot be, how will I say this? They cannot be trying to act unilaterally. So, the president has a role to have in the state. The parliament has a role to have in the state. Even the smallest of parties in the parliament has a word to say and can say. We do not, and when I watch those inquiries, like for example, the latest inquiry of Peter Hegseth, that was shameful, my friends. That would never happen here. Do you know how an inquiry here is? It's like this: the parliament selects, elects, no, they decide amongst themselves uh, a group of deputies that will represent all the political forces in parliament. That is the only condition. And then they sit in a little room. This is televised. There is a channel here dedicated to the parliament. It even has that name. It's the parliament's channel. And I, as a citizen, can watch it from TV. Okay. Sorry, Vertigo. I'm going to try to use YouTube because it's more accessible to a couple of people. I'm just going to later on, maybe during this week, I will change the software that I'm using, which is OBI. Okay. Now, the inquiries here are done this way: representatives from all the parties, okay, and sometimes exterior authorities in which the government delegates them to do so, and and I will answer you back, Fatigo. Okay, just give me a minute. Give me a while. Let me finish this room, please. A minute. As I was saying, the person that needs to talk before the parliament, he either speaks directly in parliament, no, is questioned by the parties, or there is a group of deputies representing all the political forces. They sit down and they ask him questions. From the moment that person, whoever it is, whoever it is, even a fellow MP, from the first day, for first minute that person enters in that room, everything he says counts. That person cannot lie. That person cannot run away from questions with questions. He cannot do that. If, for example, a deputy would turn to you and ask you, did you pay 1,000 euros for that car? An example. The only the only answer from your mouth is yes I did, no I did not. If you say yes I did, then you are allowed to explain why. Okay? But you don't start saying things like, "Oh, Joe Biden bought a car for 2,000 euros, and we were been trying to solve this and this and that." No, that shit wouldn't fly here. The only practical example of this was you would be committing a crime of disobedience, a crime that can be punishable by jail. You would not be cooperating with the state, with the parliament. You would be doing an entire set of crimes and of incooperations that you would probably, if for example, if you were in the position of Mr. Hexet, you would be fired in the next day. You would be out of a job. You would lose all political confidence, and you could even cost your government. If you are a part of the government, you could cost your party the government. You want to know why, for example, the Socialist Party here in Portugal took such a hit in the elections? Hmm? Because they picked up a minor, a minor saying, and they turned it into something absolutely different. And this saying was as simple as this: in the beginning, before he started his job, let's call it like this, the prime minister that was now re-elected, he declared that his family had a company. And then he declared that he was not receiving anything from the company, that his family continued to take care of the company, but he declared it, he told it. So the parliament could at any moment access any kind of public contract that his company would do, his family's company would do with the state. So the prime minister would not be able to do absolutely anything related to that company. Okay, because the law here it's like this. There you cannot hire family, you cannot hire friends, you cannot put friends and family in high places. You cannot do bloody nothing of that. That's a crime, and that one is definitely punishable with jail. Now, later on, because the Socialist Party, did not won the other elections, hmm, they started with this, and then the prime minister, because he is also a stubborn bastard. Sorry, sorry, Mr. Montenegro, you are very stubborn. He decided that he had nothing to justify and shut the hell up and whatever. Blah, 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 blah. The president, he solved the issue quite speedy. He said, "My friends, this cannot work. New elections." End of story. And then, during the campaign, the socialists, instead of doing what the other parties were doing, the left wing parties, the right wing parties, all of the parties, that was saying, "I will do this for the state, this is my program," they tried to do a Tory move, in my opinion, I would call it this, and they kept insisting in this. You cannot trust him. Look, he did not want to answer, and this and that. Result, Shiga, the populist demagogues, conservative right wing, eat, ate up their votes. The Social Democrats, that is the party that won the elections, they basically got the same votes they had gotten in the other elections. Okay, basically they have their majority. It's a relative majority. So now, whenever they are deciding things in parliament, they will have to negotiate with other parties. But that is absolutely normal, and that is absolutely desirable. You don't want absolute majorities. You want relative majorities. So this way, the parties are forced to work. Because if they do things like this guy did, this is the result: an historical defeat. they had never had such a bad result in in the entire history of the party. And this is what the USA needs, because you have a bi-party system and both of them have defects. Both of them have issues. And then with no media, with this zealot extremist extremism. I don't know how to. Sorry, I'm losing my words. Um, with this zealot idea of free speech, of being able to say everything, everything they want, everything they want, no, and not actually do what the country needs, Mr. Trump is born. Because the Democrats, they were not, they were not able to reach people. And then you also have people filled with hatred that would never vote for a black woman. I don't know why. No, I cannot understand that those people. Okay, I have no idea why, so I won't be talking about it. Okay, but the issue here is, this is why we are in the middle of this shit right now, because you elected a madman for a president. I'm sorry. Now, I went way off the track of what I was trying to do and ended up talking about other things. But I would I would like to thank you all for coming. I would like to thank you for bearing with me with these issues. And if next Saturday, if I don't have this OBI situation solved, I won't stream, because this is a bit too much. Uh, Vertigo, about uh, about Discord. Today I won't be able to go into it, okay? Because after ending the stream, I still need to go out with my nephew to go take care of some things, some personal things, okay? But I will try. No, sorry. I will try. I will try during this week to set up the Discord. I will because my other account, I don't think it's working at all now. I will try to set up an independent Discord for the channel, and I will announce it in the posts. Okay, but today it's completely impossible. Okay, it's already 10:15 here, and the kid is waiting for me. I'm going to have to go out with him and go be a dad to my nephew, which sometimes is very ironic. Now, any of you that are in America that are still listening to me, I thank you all for coming. Vertigo, thank you for enduring me. Okay, sorry, my friend. Let me. I am a dad to my nephew. Okay, sorry for that, my friend. But uh, I'm going to convince him one day to come and be a part of a stream with me here today. Now, but I'm going to set up. I'm going to try to set up. Even my perhaps I will use the same account if it is possible to use Discord to communicate with you folks. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, and I'm sorry for this shit. Tired of OBI. Now, I hope to see you all next one. I thank you all for coming, and if you are in the USA, man, please stay safe. Okay.